Under fading summer sun, a dry American prairie stretched across the horizon, covered with dusty brown soil, brittle golden grass, scattered sagebrush, thorny, bushes, weathered rocks, and a few widely spaced trees. It was far from a lush green jungle. The landscape looked harsh, natural, and untouched. A lean gray-brown coyote stood silently on a low ridge, his ears raised as he listened to the faint sounds of a prairie dog colony below. Several hundred meters away, an American badger emerged from behind some rocks. Its powerful body stayed close to the ground, its grizzled fur blending perfectly with the dry earth. The two predators noticed each other but did not approach. They simply moved toward the same hunting ground. The coyote slowly circled the colony, while the badger disappeared between the burrows. Soon, the badger began digging with its powerful claws, throwing dusty soil behind its body. Underground, frightened prairie dogs rushed through their tunnels, searching for an escape. Above them, the coyote waited patiently near the burrow entrances, ready for anything that suddenly appeared. Without warning, a prairie dog burst from a nearby burrow and raced across the dry prairie. The lean gray-brown coyote exploded forward, his powerful legs pushing through brittle golden grass as dust rose behind him. The frightened prairie dog zigzagged between scattered rocks, dry shrubs, and small patches of exposed soil, constantly changing direction to escape. The coyote followed every movement with incredible speed, keeping the animal away from the open ground. Just when the prairie dog seemed to have found a safe path, it disappeared beneath a thorny bush and slipped into another underground entrance. The coyote stopped immediately and raised his head. His pointed ears moved from side to side as he listened for movement beneath the earth. The dry prairie became strangely quiet, with only the wind moving through the grass. Then the coyote noticed loose soil shifting near another burrow. Something underground was moving fast. At that exact moment, the American badger broke through the underground tunnel. Its powerful front claws tore through compact soil as dirt collapsed around its broad body. The disturbance forced the frightened prairie dog deeper into the tunnel system, searching desperately for another exit. Above ground, the coyote slowly circled the burrow entrances, watching every possible escape route. The badger continued digging with remarkable strength, sending loose earth backward and exposing parts of the narrow tunnel. Neither animal needed to communicate. Their different hunting abilities naturally worked together. The badger controlled the hidden world beneath the prairie while the coyote controlled the open ground above. Suddenly, another prairie dog entrance became active. The coyote instantly moved toward it while the badger continued digging from below. The prey rushed toward the surface, saw the waiting coyote, and immediately turned back underground. For several moments, the predator and prey remained locked in a deadly game of movement. The badger forcing the animal forward, and the coyote closing every escape route. Later, the two predators discovered another opportunity near a cluster of weathered rocks. A ground squirrel was hiding inside a narrow underground shelter. The badger lowered its head and began digging immediately. Its long claws scraped rapidly through dry soil, throwing dirt backward and creating small clouds of dust. The coyote remained several meters away, perfectly still, watching the rocks and nearby openings. The squirrel could hear the badger approaching beneath the ground and knew that remaining hidden would soon become impossible. Suddenly, it burst from the tunnel and sprinted across the prairie. The coyote reacted instantly. He accelerated through the dry grass, his body low and focused as he chased the fleeing squirrel. The squirrel raced toward a rocky patch, turned sharply, and then changed direction again. The coyote followed every movement. Dust rose beneath their feet, while dry grass bent and snapped back in the wind. The squirrel was fast, but the coyote was controlling the open space exactly as the badger had controlled the underground tunnels. The squirrel suddenly disappeared beneath a cluster of large rocks, believing it had finally escaped. But the badger was already there. It pushed its powerful body toward the rocks and began tearing into the soil with enormous front claws. Dirt scattered in every direction as the animal widened the opening. The squirrel rushed through the darkness and searched for another way out. On the opposite side, the coyote waited. Patiently, when the squirrel finally emerged, it immediately sprinted away. But the coyote was ready. He chased it across the open ground while the badger continued, digging behind them. The squirrel made a desperate turn toward another patch of dry grass, but the coyote changed direction almost instantly. The chase became a cloud of dust, grass, and rapid movement. After several seconds, the struggle ended, and both predators slowed down. The wind carried the dust away, revealing the scattered rocks and disturbed earth. The prairie returned to silence, but the tracks left behind showed how quickly the hunt had unfolded. As darkness spread across the landscape, the moon rose above the dry prairie. Pale light covered the golden grass, scattered sagebrush, weathered rocks, dusty trails, and hundreds of small burrow entrances. The coyote continued patrolling the open ground, relying on his sharp eyesight, sense of hearing, and incredible speed. Farther away, the badger moved between burrows and rocky patches, using its powerful claws and strong sense of smell to search for hidden prey. Sometimes their paths crossed, and sometimes they traveled far apart, each following whatever opportunity appeared. They were not permanent companions, and their relationship was not based on human-like communication. Their cooperation came from instinct and circumstance. The coyote benefited when the badger forced animals from underground, while the badger benefited when the coyote waited above and controlled the escape routes. Together, their different abilities created a hunting strategy that could turn an ordinary patch of dry prairie into a dangerous maze for any small animal trying to survive. Eventually, the night became completely still. The coyote climbed onto a low ridge and stood motionless beneath the pale moonlight, his gray-brown coat blending with the surrounding earth. He looked across the empty prairie for several seconds before slowly turning away and disappearing beyond the ridge. The badger continued in another direction, its low muscular body gradually vanishing into dry grass and shadows. Hours passed, and the first pale light of dawn appeared across the horizon. The golden grass began to glow softly while long shadows stretched across the dusty ground. The prairie looked peaceful again, but fresh footprints, disturbed soil, broken tunnel entrances, and flattened grass remained as silent evidence of the night's struggle. The coyote and badger had moved on, but their hunting strategy remained. Written across the landscape, one predator dominated the open ground with speed and agility. The other controlled the hidden tunnels with strength and powerful claws. In a harsh environment where every meal requires patience, time, and skill, their cooperation proved one simple truth. Sometimes the most effective hunters are not the strongest animals, but the ones whose different abilities can turn the entire landscape into a trap.